Get closer
I
to
want
your
to do
mic.
I want to do my insert real
You have to
quick.
get closer to your mic, though.
Yeah, I thank you. I know.
Well, then do it.
So, I have to also look at the camera. So,
Well, I look at the camera and I'm still
I
close
know,
to
but
my
your
mic.
camera's directly focused on you. Mine, I'm in a wide shot. I can't do this with you right now. Just please, just be quiet. Hi guys, it's James. A quick request. I can't do it when you're laughing.
You go, hi guys.
my voice went down.
It did.
Hi guys.
Oh, hi guys.
Hey guys, it's James. I just want to tell you how much Denise and I appreciate all the support we've gotten so far and all of the listeners and downloads that we've accrued over these last several weeks. It's more than we could have imagined. But I also have to ask a favor. We're not going to ask you for money because the whole point of our podcast is to prove that we can work remotely and make a living for our family. But what I would like to request is if you have a friend that you think might be interested in listening to the show, go ahead and share us on Facebook, Instagram, wherever you get your social media. Please recommend our podcast. We're really appreciative at the way it's growing now, but we also want to cast a wider net. We think a lot more people could benefit from what we have to say and everywhere we're headed on our journey. Thanks, and on with the show.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.
Hey listeners, ever wonder what it would be like to sell everything and travel the country at the tender age of 50? Well, with our last kid off to college and the ability to now work remotely, we've decided to do just that. So we're selling the house, loading up the dog, and hitting every city from California to Florida. We're scouring the country for a new place to call home and dragging you into every restaurant, Airbnb, and tourist trap we encounter along the way. This is the Skiptown All-Stars podcast.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the Skiptown All-Stars podcast. Very excited to be with you here today. We have finally had a chance to get the cameras rolling. It's been a little rough and tumble on the road, but we are going to try and record video for this episode as well. So if you are so inclined, please head on over to our YouTube channel. You can find it in the show notes. And we are in Salt Lake City. I'm very excited to announce our special guest. She is the middle. She is Popo. She is the tower of power in the Gordon family. Everybody, welcome. Hashtag my Mia. Mia Gordon. Welcome, honey.
Hello. Thank you for having me. That was quite the introduction.
I was going to say, are you happy? I worked on that a little bit in the van on the way into town.
That was really good.
Yeah.
I think it blew Ellie's out of the water for sure.
Well, I know that'll make you happy
Yeah.
since the two of you are so competitive. I wanted to start by you telling the listeners a little bit about yourself and what you've been up to these last handful of weeks since we've been away.
Well, as you know, my name is Mia. I go to University of Utah in Salt Lake City, Utah. I grew up dancing, and in high school I played lacrosse. I'm currently studying criminology, and for the past few months, I've been working at PacSun at my local mall. So that was mainly why I had to stay back in LA without my family, without you guys, without a house.
How did you spend the last couple of weeks? We know that you were cat sitting. You couch surfed a little bit with our family friends, and then you spent a few days with one of your best friends.
Yes.
How was all of that?
It was better than being homeless and living in my car, for sure. It was actually really great. Everyone was super open to letting me in their house. A lot of people have been saying like, oh my God, you're more than welcome to stay at our place once you come back from school, once your parents leave LA, things like that. So that was as sweet as it was. It was also pretty bittersweet because I was like, that's so nice of you. I was super grateful to everyone, but at the same time,
I don't want to be
like,
here.
I don't want your house. I want my house.
Just not the same. But you were busy during that time. You weren't just working at PacSun.
Oh, I was also shadowing a close family friend who's a public defender for LA County. She's based out of Van Nuys, so I would go to Van Nuys courthouse a couple days out of the week, or a couple days out of the month, mostly, at least once a week. And I would get to see a lot of different hearings. I'd see like preliminary hearings. I'd see setting dates. I was supposed to see a trial. So I saw jury selection. I saw all of that right before. I saw a resentencing right before the trial was supposed to begin. And then I saw the client take a plea bargain.
On the morning the
morning
case was
of,
supposed to start.
jury was there and everything. But that was super cool. So since I'm studying criminology, I really want to go to law school. I want to go into law. And our family friend gave me this amazing opportunity to just shadow her, walk around with her until like her lunchtime. And it was honestly really amazing and really eye-opening. And it's just solidified my career plans for me.
So this sealed the deal. Like, you're pretty sure this is the area of law you want to one day practice?
Yes, I'm very much into criminal law. I feel like civil law can be kind of boring sometimes.
Oh, criminal law is going to be very exciting.
Yes, so it'll be super interesting. And I really enjoy that stuff. I love Criminal Minds. I love all law shows. I like seeing movies when they're in a courthouse. But I thought it was even more interesting actually being in a courthouse, seeing the jury selection process, because I'd never seen that. They don't show that in the movies.
Oh, yeah.
In LA, everybody tries to squeak out of jury duty.
Yes, that is very, very true.
They tried to do it during jury selection as well, didn't they?
Yes.
The crazy excuses people came up with.
Some people say they don't have common sense, things like that. They say that even though they know that the client is charged with this, they already think he's innocent or guilty just so that they don't have to sit through the trial and take off of work, which it's fair. It's just the excuses are way absurd. Like, I would just say, my mother is very sick and I'm her main caregiver. I would say that to get out of jury duty.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, we know what
But again, I probably won't get asked to do jury duty because I'm studying law.
Not anymore.
That's true. Okay. So let's get back to, we had planned that you would go with us in the drive to drop Ellie off at school. And then a couple of things happened. One was that you landed a summer job. You weren't sure you'd be able to get a week off to come travel with us, or even a few days. You were nervous about that. And then the second thing that we realized also was that Ellie's move-in wasn't really Ellie's move-in. It's just temporary housing.
So to me, it just made more sense to go out and help Ellie move into her actual dorm in September.
And you kind of split up your time. So tell everyone how it was being alone for 2 weeks and where you spent your time.
Yeah, not being able to go to your actual house anymore.
Yeah, that was honestly, it was really hard. I think mostly because it wasn't like we just moved out of our house and we all left together. I was left behind.
Honey.
I know it's horrible to say, but that's just what it felt like. Like, I felt like I was floating and just like going through the motions of like all the places I grew up, all these amazing memories I had with friends and family, and everyone was being super generous. A lot of like our close family friends would reach out to me, make sure I was doing okay, make sure I had a place to sleep.
Okay, and then what happened after we left? Let's talk about that. The day that we left.
The day you left?
Let's talk about the day we left, Mia.
So
it was a Monday morning.
Just a normal, casual Monday for most Angelinos, most Valley girls, if you will. I helped load the rest of my stuff into my car. I helped load a couple more things into the pod. And then it was just a whole lot of sitting around waiting for this walkthrough. And then once the walkthrough happened, it was more sitting around in my empty home, just crying. I don't think I cried all that entire day since 9:30 in the morning.
We noticed that you were the most emotional, and it was surprising because you were away for a year.
I think it was because I was gone for a year. My room was already a storage room. It was already my dad's office for a while. So my room hadn't really been my room most of the time that I'd come home for breaks, but now it was my house that I grew up in. Mainly, I mean, all my childhood memories come from in that house.
We moved in that house when you were 5 months old. So it was it was your house your entire life.
Yeah. So now it was that my house was no longer my house. And I think a part of me really thought like, a part of me doubted it. A part of me was just like, okay, whatever. Like, I'm very, very happy for you guys. I know this is an amazing journey that you're on. You've been talking about it since I was like a freshman in high school.
Yeah. So this wasn't anything new.
No, not at all. But it's still shocking. It's still a lot. And I think because I was so busy with work, with packing, that was all a distraction to how I feel about it.
For sure.
And so it all just kind of like came to a bubble that day because it was like, oh my God, like this is actually happening. But it wasn't, I think I was actually more upset about me staying there by myself.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I think that was subconsciously what was harder. Because,
why didn't you just tell us?
Well,
I would have figured something out.
I know, but it was also like I already had all these plans set in stone where I was staying.
Okay.
Stuff like that. And I don't know. I thought I would just be fine doing like 2 weeks at home. I was already at that point super excited to go back to school. I was so excited. That was the only thing I was looking forward to. I think after a while, after everything kind of settled, that's when I was like, oh my God, like this is actually happening. So that is why I was so upset. I know it's surprising because I was gone for a year, but I don't know. It's still going to be hard regardless.
Yeah, what you're saying totally makes sense.
I think just kind of like the environment that you guys had set up for the house in the very beginning, like how you've talked about in previous episodes, like sure, all of our friends have these really nice houses, but they always want to come to ours. It's because of how welcoming you two are to all of our friends.
Oh, thank you.
How you guys will welcome anyone in. You'll always cook for them. We'll kick dad out of the family room to watch TV. God, and you guys were always so open to any party that we wanted to throw.
I wouldn't say that, but
you'd always be like, I'm not doing anything.
Yeah, I would say that.
I will not help out. And then, at that point,
and then I'd be out there cleaning the yard.
Yep.
Who was in the backyard with the hose?
Sweeping.
Sucker. I'm such a sucker.
And then I'd be like, Dad, I don't know how to turn the lights on. I'll like huff and puff getting up from the couch, waddle outside.
Oh, everyone knows I'm a huffer and puffer now. Thanks,
he never says no, though. He
never says no.
That's true. I agree with you. Okay, I want to ask you, since you went to school in Utah, and you know, anyone who has been listening to our show this far knows that all of our girls went to school out of state. We really promoted that. We wanted everyone to experience what life outside of Los Angeles was like, because both James and I, being from different areas of the country, agree that Los Angeles is a bubble. There's no other place like it, and you need to get out of your bubble to see what real life is like. You've been in Utah now, and you've been to other states. You've visited family members across the country. Mm-hmm. How do you feel that you're different from your peers since you grew up in Los Angeles? Or is there a difference?
Oh gosh, probably.
I should ask them.
Yeah, you should.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like a lot of the times when I'm talking about certain things, even the way I'm just speaking in my head, I'm like, gosh, I cannot sound like a pretentious LA girl, which I'm not. I wasn't raised that way, where I know a lot of people who were, and I know a lot of people who, I don't know if like bratty's the term, but they just were kind of handed everything to them. Whereas a lot of the things that like I've achieved in life, like I've worked hard for, my sisters have worked really hard to get to where they are. So I feel like a lot of the times when I am talking to new people and they're like, oh, where are you from? I'm like, oh, Los Angeles. They're always just like, oh. They're either like interested, shocked, or like surprised, I guess.
Do you think they have preconceived notions that
Oh, for sure.
So you've experienced that?
Yeah.
What are those preconceived, like in your mind, what would those preconceived notions be?
Probably that I'm spoiled. And I've even like kind of had experience with that. Like when I met my college friends, some of them were like, you're not at all what I first thought you would be.
They've actually said that.
Yeah. And I'm like, what do you mean by that? And some of them will admit, they're like, oh, I'm a very harsh like person in judging first impressions. I'm like, okay, but like, what did you mean by that?
Did they ever explain? Like, was it just the LA thing?
Probably. They wouldn't really go like too much into depth, obviously, because then it would kind of hurt my feelings. And I feel like hurt most people's feelings. But I think it really is just like grew up in LA, spoiled, privileged for like where you're growing up, which is very weird because a lot of the people I meet grow up in really wealthy neighborhoods and suburbs in different states. So it's not really any different. I'm just in a congested valley opposed to like you're in a huge house in the suburbs.
We get that all the time. Oh, you're from LA, like cha-ching. And they don't realize
they think
that
you're filthy rich.
But our money is still below average for LA means, wouldn't you agree?
Yes.
It's crazy.
For like half my life, I thought we were below the poverty line. We weren't. We were never. But it was just the way that everything made it seem, I guess. My dad was always working. My mom was also working. We had like babysitters helping out. So I don't know. I think I got to a certain age where I was like, oh, this person's mom is like a stay-at-home mom. Am I poor? I don't know why. That's just like what went through like my 7-year-old brain.
But no, it is a luxury to be a stay-at-home mom. All right. So we were so excited. So we were here in Utah, just anxiously waiting for you. And then we get a call. You're 20 minutes out and your tire blew on the freeway.
Yes.
That's so frightening.
It was. And honestly, we had made... Annie and I, the friend I was driving with, we had made such amazing time driving up.
Oh gosh.
I'm not going to lie. When we stop, we'd barely we'd just get up, go to the bathroom, stretch our legs, get food, hop back in the car and keep going. Like we just wanted to get here. We were driving very safe, so don't worry.
Sure you were.
Uh-huh.
We were.
Okay, good.
But we had stopped a couple times. We got out. At this point, we had an hour left. Blasting Taylor Swift. Everything was fine. We're like 30 minutes away, 25-ish. My tire light pressure goes on. And I think probably a minute or two later, we just heard like a little pop. And we were like, oh, what was that? And then it started getting a little bit louder. So we thought it was a motorcycle driving by, but we're looking all around. And then I stopped and I started getting over into the lanes. And I was like, is that my car? And she was like, I think it's your car. And then the car started shaking a little bit. So I did like a 3-lane drift to get over to the shoulder.
Oh my God, you're amazing.
Nice.
You really are.
I know. I tried
action.
so hard to like be calm because my biggest fear was I don't really have a tire right now, but I don't want that to be a reason that someone hits me or I hit someone else.
Yeah.
Like that would just be a nightmare. That would put a real damper on my day. So we got over.
You were incredible.
Thank you.
No, I said it when we were on the side of the freeway highway with Dad. Dad and I were both like amazed. Like you handled yourself so well. You didn't cry. You didn't freak. Like that could have been such a different scenario.
Yeah, even the tow truck driver was like, how old is she again? And I said 19. And he goes, wow, she did a great job.
I know. I called AAA. I did the call from a woman at one of the towing companies, and she had said, I'm going to put you at the top of the call list or the pickup list.
Well, we arrived.
Yeah, you guys arrived.
We switched. And for a moment, Mom was like, I'm going to sit with the car. And I'm like, I'm the guy, so I'm sitting with the car, and you're going to take these girls home. So there was a little gender flex there.
There was.
There was a gender flex for sure.
His masculinity came through.
But here's what's funny. He was fine with it at first, but he was really tired. Like I woke him up from a sleep.
Well, I had done the drive. So we'll get into our travels in a minute, but I had done the drive from Idaho City.
Yeah, so he was pretty tired when we got to the Airbnb, and he was really starting to doze off. So I think he was just half asleep because normally he would totally do the gender flex and be like, no, I'm staying and waiting for the tow truck guy, you go. And when at first he's like, okay. And I was like, okay, I'll see you guys later. He's like, wait, what?
Yeah. It took me a second. As
He
you
literally
two
is like,
girls were getting in the car, I was like, this does not feel right. So,
Yes.
so I sat there and Mom was like, were you scared sitting there waiting for him? And I go, well, I mean, I knew it could end at any moment for me if somebody came up and just smashed into
you
me.
guys, it's so
But
dangerous.
I can't say I was
Are you
really
kidding?
scared. I mean, I was just phone scrolling and Mia would send me updates from her app as to how far away the tow truck driver was. But really, he got there she front loaded us, which was great. And when she, he fast tracked his way over to me and I was home before you guys were home. So
Yes.
by the time, this guy was business. Rob, wherever you are, thank you. You did an amazing job just knocking that thing out so quick. He was, dude could easily work on an Indy pit crew. So it was fantastic to just get off the highway and go back to our Airbnb with your little donut.
It was just so anticlimactic because I had dinner going to be prepared for you. And I was all day thinking about like what I was going to make you. And I went grocery shopping. I was like, oh my gosh. And then be anticlimactic for you and frightening.
Yeah.
I mean, really, I'm so sorry you went through that. That really was like not fair.
No, we were expecting some warm welcome and it was like this flurry of activity on the side of a freeway.
That too. I was expecting a great big old bear hug from both my parents. I was expecting Roxy to jump on me the second I stepped foot in there.
I know. It was like so unfair.
All those things still happen later.
Yes. They happen later, but just not as soon as I wanted them to. But I was actually super grateful that it happened where it happened because I was already back in the city. I was 20 minutes away from downtown Salt Lake. It was 10 times better that it happened at that point than if it had happened like 3 hours earlier.
Yeah, you were home. You were comfortable.
Yeah, I would have been like stuck on the side of the road in the middle of nowhere, probably stuck there all night long. So I'm just grateful that where it happened was where it happened.
Yeah.
But tell me about your guys' drive. I didn't even know much about it anyway.
Because we were both on the road.
Yeah.
You were driving and we were driving.
Yeah. Okay. Well, so in our last episode, we left Seattle with a very nice send-off, both from our friends David and Stacy. We went to Tacoma for the day. Had a really fantastic lunch right there on the water.
It was fabulous.
Peach cocktails of some sort or another.
Yes.
They were delicious. And then got to say goodbye to them. We're going to have Stacy in a future episode. She's a financial planner. I will butcher her actual title, but suffice it to say, there's a budgetary component to our show, and Stacy's going to come on and help us out with that eventually. And we left and we started out for Washougal, Washington, where I was fortunate enough to meet up with one of my colleagues, and Denise and I were fortunate enough to meet his wife for the first time. Well, you hadn't met Russ either. So we stayed at the palatial estate of Russ and Genia Stemper. It was a fantastic night, just catching up with him and meeting his wife and talking about our mutual families. And then the next day, we actually recorded a bonus episode.
We did, because it's really important to mention that Russell and Genia lived in Los Angeles like us, and they moved for a quieter lifestyle. And Russell is a producer in television on a talk show. So he is in a very similar situation to your dad, wherein he is working remotely now, and he did it long before the pandemic. So he really took a leap about 7 years ago to say, I'm going to try this. We want a quieter lifestyle, make our money go a little further. And they found this great place called Washougal, Washington. And we were so grateful to be able to stay in their beautiful home and just experience being there, what that city does for them and what they do while living there.
Yeah, and they actually decided to make that move. I know you and your sister think you had it tough, but they made that move the day their son graduated, and he
didn't walk.
Yeah, he actually decided not to walk for his graduation, and they were just on the road on their way up. But they've never looked back. So, they're making it work for themselves up there quite nicely, and it'll be an exciting episode for our listeners to hear in the future. So we did that. And then the next day we set out for Bend, Oregon, right?
Yeah, I had mentioned to Dad that I had heard from more than one person Bend is the place to be. I don't really know what that means or what Bend is like. So we were like, hey, if it's the place to be, then we need to be there. And we went and we spent like a day there. I can see the hoopla, sort of. There are parts of it that are really pretty. There are other parts of it that just look like a brand new community, which is fabulous for somebody that wants to live in a brand new community. It kind of looked like, I'm going to say Porter Ranch, but nobody outside of Los Angeles knows what Porter Ranch is. So just think of like the newest upcoming community in your area that has a beautiful mall, a brand new Nordstrom Rack, blah, blah, blah.
It was very young family centric, I would say. A lot of kids. So they have a little river in the Old Mill District where a lot of kids were floating. You know, it was a hot summer day. So a lot of kids were like floating the river in their little inner tubes, families all around getting, lunch, ice cream, you name it. And
lots of hiking. We were told the beauty of it and what brings people to Bend. Well, used to be, it was affordable. And if you're an outdoors person, you have hiking and you have the water. So in the summer, you have the river, and there are a few lakes from what I was told. If you're in Bend and you're hearing this, I could very well be wrong, but this is what I was told by a volunteer park, state park worker.
Ron and Debbie.
And so, and there are many lakes there. So in the summer, you have the enjoyment of the water. And then in the winter, there are so many mountains. Bend is surrounded by mountains. I took tons of pictures. Again, if you follow us on Instagram, I'm going to post them here. But so you have the lifestyle in the winter and the lifestyle in the summers. So it makes complete sense if you're an outdoor person. But what doesn't make sense to me is that it is 3 hours from a major airport. So in my mind, there's nothing that fabulous yet that I have come across that would make me want to drive 3 hours from an airport, or my family or my friends to come see me. When we are looking for a place to live, our thoughts are that we want to live close to an airport and have some sort of attraction. So when friends and family come, they're not traveling far, and they could maybe be on a river or be on a lake or go skiing, go to the beach. There has to be something that will draw our friends and family to us. You could have a long airport drive if the destination is worth it, but you can't have a long airport drive and nothing at the destination. In my opinion, this is just me. This is what, when Dad and I are looking for another, a place to call our own again, it has to be, I just feel worth everyone's while to come see us.
And I do agree that 3 hours is a bit long to travel to PDX to fly anywhere. But I suspect the people who live in Bend kind of don't care, that's where that's where their family is, they're like, what do I need to go to Portland for? That's where all the, that's Portland lets its freak flag fly. And, I'm just trying to raise my 3 little critters here.
I know, but at some point, like if you ever want to go and visit someone, you have to drive 3 hours to an airport. It just seems very long to me. That's it.
At first glance, I wasn't feeling it, but as we drove around the second day we were there,
West Bend was where it was.
Yeah, West Bend was
style.
great. I mean, I have I understand a young family who just bought, a house or what have you there. To me, it felt like a lot of subdivisions in many areas, which everybody knows I'm not really into.
Yeah.
However, I will say the West Bend area, the minute we got there, I was like, okay, this is more our speed.
Houses spread apart, cute little coffee shops, cute little grocery stores, things like that, like really more mom and pop kind of feel.
Mm-hmm.
And houses weren't on top of each other. But don't be mistaken, we couldn't afford Bend. We couldn't have. It's very
we're priced out. I mean, it would be it would be a savings over what we had in LA. It's certainly less traffic.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, I just
less people, less traffic, obviously. But prices were still. You were looking at houses.
I mean,
what were they pricing at?
$600K plus.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
For a 3+2 in many of the areas. I'm sure in the outlying areas you can find something different. But the bottom line is, your mom and I, being the age we are, for us, it was like, okay, we get it. It's a cool town. I'm really glad we visited. I found a great coffee shop. Back Porch Coffee Roasters was great. The little market in West Bend, the Newport Ave market or something like that, if I remember right, was really good. But in the end, when it came time to leave and press on, we were ready to go for our taste, you know?
Nice.
Yep.
And so then we went to, tell him, babe.
Oh, we went to Idaho City, Idaho. And it was, I got it all
You
right.
said it.
Oh man, I got it all right.
I know. I was
Have
like,
you
is she
butchered it
struggling or is
before?
she still
I've been calling it Iowa
traumatized?
City, Iowa. I've been calling it Iowa City, Idaho. I've been calling it Idaho City, Iowa. Oh yeah, I've
She
got
butchers
too many
every
eyes.
name,
There's
Mia.
just
Every
too-
name of everything.
Too many
I
eyes.
know.
Too many eyes.
I know.
So
Thank God she's not writing a travel blog right
I
now. It would be
know.
just like, everybody would be like, I have no idea where this woman is sending me. Well, before we even got there, we crossed the Bridge of the Gods.
yes, that
which
was
is basically
beautiful.
the Columbia River that separates Oregon from Washington. It was incredible. What a view, even though I was driving.
It was beautiful.
A $3 toll. It was a $3 toll to go about what? I don't know, a quarter of a mile, but it was
Was
so
it-
worth it.
Was
Yeah.
it like more like 1,000 feet?
Maybe, I don't know, whatever it
Oh my
was.
gosh.
We did that. And then we went to, then actually we went through Hood River, which was a cool little community. We did not stop there for lunch, although we should have.
The main street was adorable. I mean, these are like tucked away little cities I've never heard of.
Yeah.
But the downtown was like something out of a magazine. It was so stinking cute.
Yeah, just kayaks everywhere. It was really, you could tell a lot of fishermen.
A lot of families
fly
too.
fishing, all that. And yeah, there were a lot of families, a lot of people, especially on the day we were there, was really warm. You've always had a hesitancy about moving to Oregon because you think it's too cold there. Hood River and that entire area of central Oregon where we were disproved your theory.
It did.
It was blazing hot.
It was really nice. I've always experienced the coast, so I'm just silly in assuming that the whole state is as cold as the coast. And yes, proven wrong, rightfully.
Yeah. So we went through Hood River and we should have stopped for lunch there, but instead we decided to hit this section. I believe it's down the 35 or the 37 freeway. I'm not sure. One of those two, called the Fruit Loop. I knew you would be blown away by an entire loop of fruit stands.
I'm crazy about fruit
Ooh.
stands. You can tell them the history of the first time you took me to
The
Ohio.
first time I took her home to Ohio, I grew up in the sticks, and growing up I just saw it all the time. It was no big deal. I took Mom there. You would have sworn I was taking her to Disneyland. It was like, she's like, oh my gosh, they sell strawberries, and
Well,
she was
each
so
fruit
excited.
stands, they're farmers, so they each have a different crop. And so one fruit stand may sell strawberries and corn, but the other fruit stand may sell apples and I don't know, cauliflower. So he would take me and we'd be driving, and his cousin thought it was crazy.
Yeah,
We
everybody
went
was like,
shopping one day.
She gets really crazy over strawberries.
She likes her fruit and her watermelon.
She does, for sure.
Yeah, we went shopping. His cousin and myself, am I saying that right? His cousin and I went shopping one day to the mall, and we were driving back into the rural town they live in. And I was like, oh, I have not seen this fruit stand. This is a new one. Can you please pull over?
So anyway, I knew going into the Fruit Loop in Central Oregon that
It's
Mom was
fruit
just going to go
stands
bonkers.
everywhere. And they
Oh
call
my
it
gosh.
they
Are
call-
they all reasonably priced?
no, they're super expensive.
Oh.
But you can
So
pick.
it's still like LA.
But you can pick your own.
You can pick your own though. So
Oh.
everything that you get there at their fruit stand is local to them. It's what they made, what they produced. So for instance, there was this one place I went to, and they call it Fruit Loop because it's really a loop of, I don't know, 30 miles or something of just farms that set up, produce or whatever they're selling. Some of them are very fancy and they serve wine, and it looks like something out of
Oh yeah, there were some
Napa
wineries
Valley.
in the mix. Yeah.
Others
As
are
part of
very
the loop.
basic, and they just basically have a red barn, and you walk in and you can get whatever you want. The fruit is already in baskets and it's organized nicely. But no, not everyone has the same thing. And I was there and I asked the girl, can I pick the cherries? And she said, oh, they've already been picked. And I ended up buying cherries from her, and they weren't great just because I think they had been there for probably a couple
Yeah.
of days in the bag, or maybe it was at the bottom. But I bought strawberries. I also bought blackberries. Oh, those were the sweetest blackberries. I bought blueberries. It was just cool because
she's going on and on about like all the
Yummy.
varieties.
Oh my God.
of fruit.
Okay, I'm
You
sorry.
Get it, right?
Okay,
like I'm gonna
yeah.
have to trim this whole section down.
whatever. I met the owners of the places, so there.
That's so cool.
I don't do that when I go to
Anyway,
Ralph's.
So we stopped at one place. And they actually served food. So we were going to get lunch because we were hungry. And we found out there was a 45-minute wait for food.
Yeah, then at
we
that
didn't want to
point,
wait that long.
No,
so
we didn't want to wait that long.
We got back in the car and we started driving around
for an hour.
And
you get the story. We didn't want to wait 45 minutes, drove an hour.
Went through the little town of Odell or somewhere like that. And then finally found a burger stand on the top end of that, which, mind you, was only about 5 miles from Hood River where we originally started.
Oh my gosh.
So we blew almost a full day just looking for lunch. But we finally got a hamburger. Took forever, but it was really good because we were really hungry.
35 minutes. So what could have been a 45-minute wait for food turned into an hour and 35 minutes for food. And at that point, I was a lunatic.
And then we had to drive all the way back down to where we had started. Anyway, so after that, though, we went to Trillium Lake, which was really cool. We should put those pictures up. Maybe. I don't know.
I will.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm going to put them on my Instagram.
We went there and it was very cool. Again, kids kayaking, a lot of families.
It's a state park.
Pop-up tents and everything. Really pretty lake. And Mount Hood is the backdrop. It's a really clear shot over the lake up to the top of the peak. And it was actually a really fantastic sight, a really great view. We
try to plan our travels this way. If there's an 8-hour or a 6-hour drive, we want to split it up. We want to get out of the car. The goal was, I've been talking about this for months, that we'll get out of the car, we'll have a good lunch somewhere, we'll do a little hike, and we'll get back in the car. It hasn't gone exactly how I had planned in my head. So
it's gone nothing like we've planned in our heads.
Nope. And yeah. Okay. So the way this went down was that we drove 6 hours because going from Bend, Oregon to Salt Lake City, Utah to meet you here is about a 10-hour drive. So Dad found a city called Idaho City. It's about 6 hours. He thought that'd be a good place to stop. We have been to Boise, Idaho before.
Many times.
Many times. And most people would say, well, just go to Boise. But we wanted to try something different. Ooh, this was different. So this was way out in the wilderness. I mean, I'm not kidding when I say this. Like, I mean, we were on the freeway and we're approaching the mountain, and I just look at it and Dad points to the top of the mountain where you can see the pine trees. And he said, that's where we're going. And that's where we went. He wasn't kidding. We went to the top of that mountain. Beautiful drive. It's similar, I'm going to say this, and people may have to look it up, to the drive from Boise to McCall, Idaho. So if you live in McCall, you know exactly what I'm talking about, that drive. If you don't, it's a mountain town. McCall. People go there to surf, and they have a beautiful, surf. So people go there to ski. People go there to ski, and they have a beautiful lake. So it's a destination place if you live in Idaho. Idaho City, I think, is more for locals. There's a river that runs along it. We also are told, or Dad looked it up, there's a lake up there somewhere as well. We saw people with dune buggies, so we know that people are in the forest.
A lot of ATVs. I mean,
I said dune buggies. I'm so sorry.
Well, no, we saw those as well.
Okay.
Remember, there was like a little tiny convention at the mouth of the main street.
Or ATVs?
Those were dune buggies.
Okay. So I think dune buggies. I think sand. I mean, so I don't know. There were dune buggies there, but in any case, the very beginning of this series of doing the podcast, I said that I just want to find a place where I can have orange juice that's less than $5. We did.
Yeah, mission accomplished.
I got a glass.
Seasons Market and Restaurant or something like that.
Yes, Seasons. I think restaurant.
It's just a little hole in the wall breakfast joint. Really.
The girl who took our order also made our food.
Oh.
So she's a one-woman show, and a glass of
Girl
orange
boss.
juice. Exactly. And she checked us out. She was the cashier, the waitress, and the cook.
Oh.
And a glass of orange juice, $1.99.
How much was the meal altogether?
$30.
It was $30. I was so happy I tipped her 10.
Wow.
So it was $40 on the way out the door.
Nice.
Hold on. Let me just say this. 2 pancakes, $3.30.
30.
2 pancakes in LA would be
Like
12.
14.
12 to 14, $3.30 for 2 pancakes. I wanted to order more just because
Just
I couldn't
put 'em in the
believe-
cooler.
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. It was incredible. So Idaho City was really great. We were actually looking at houses there. The town has been untouched. There's a good and a bad to that. The good is that the town has been untouched. The bad is that the town has been untouched.
For 40 years. So,
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I mean, there were a lot of rundown buildings, even in the downtown area. And I say downtown, it was,
That's like-
it's one intersection basically.
Okay.
But I personally liked it a lot. I
Really?
actually, yeah.
I expected that mom would like it
I
more
lo-
because
I
she
did.
wanted.
I know she always
a
talks about
quieter
being
place.
rural and remote.
Yeah.
It was too much for her. It
No,
was
actually,
my
it's-
kind of like Lake Milton, Ohio type
Oh.
remote.
No,
You're
that's,
back to your roots.
Yeah, a little bit.
that's actually not true. I could picture myself living there. I just don't know what I would do, because when I think about living in a rural area, I think about having a lot of property, and this was just mountain living. So there's not like any land you can cultivate or any rescue dogs I can like take in. It was like, there's just trees everywhere. So for me, I found it challenging on like what I would do. I
Mhm.
immediately started thinking like, well, I could go and help Lucy at that restaurant. I mean, I literally was thinking I can cook while she takes the orders and is the cashier, or I could take the orders and be the cashier while she cooks. I saw a help wanted sign in that restaurant. I could do that. So my brain was going.
But the whole time you were like, oh my gosh, where's it? Like, I need to find a grocery store. How far is a grocery store?
Okay, that
How
is-
far? You don't even like Costco, and you were looking for a Costco. You were so desperate. It wasn't your vibe. I
It
mean,
was just
it was
scary
not.
because for me, I've never, food has always been first and foremost with me. Everyone who knows me knows it's food. I am food. I didn't realize how frightened I get when there's the thought of not having food around.
Like, our mom was thinking, like, there's a snowstorm and she's there 3 days without having dropped like $700 at Costco.
I was
Yeah.
To stockpile.
I was rationalizing it in my head. Like, how does this work? And then I think Genia was the one who said, well, you just get a second freezer. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Because I remember I was on
Yeah.
the phone even talking to Aaron, and I said, well, I would have to get a second freezer, because I'm already thinking in my head, like, how does this work? Because you're going to get snowed in. And then and I was like, well, milk. Well, thank God we don't drink that much milk. But I'm thinking of like the basics.
She's worried about milk. We go through a half gallon like every 7 weeks.
If I have a freezer in the garage that's stocked with food, I
Oh
think I
my
can do
God.
this. I just need to know I need to know.
You need to be mentally prepared.
It's as if we were suddenly on a survival show, and it was like 35 minutes to get into Boise from
Oh
there,
my
or
God.
to get.
When we got down the mountain, I did feel better. There was an Albertsons at the bottom, and I said to
She
Dad,
said,
I
okay,
go,
I might be able to make this work.
Oh my
Like,
God.
my God.
I did.
You're still, I mean, I know we talk all the time how you want to live out in the sticks, but I've always had this thought in the back of my head, like, she's from Chicago.
City
she lived in
girl.
San Diego and she lived in LA. It's like, she's totally a city girl. You know this about your mom.
She's a city girl at
she
heart.
needs a lot of stuff to do to occupy her time.
Well, yeah, she went
Stop.
from Chicago to LA
It's
and then
true.
stayed in LA. So
Yeah.
that, I think, in itself.
Okay, you guys,
speaks.
I'm going to do this.
There's no movie theater in Idaho City.
I'm going to do this country living, and you're going to see.
You're gonna fail.
I know you will. I know you will do some sort of country living. I just don't think it'll be in Idaho City.
No, for sure.
Okay,
She's still
may
gonna
not-
want to. She's still gonna want a townhouse in like Dallas or somewhere.
Yeah.
and she'll spend 9 months out of the year there, and then come visit me in Idaho City for the remaining 3. You know.
Yeah.
Maybe. So we left Idaho City, and we had a great experience, and I broke my toe.
She did.
Oh,
She broke her toe.
man.
Kicking a stray dog.
It has been.
I'm just kidding.
No, stop that. It's an old person story. I was getting in the bathtub.
She was kicking an old lady.
No, it's not that. No, I was getting in the shower and I was really tired and I didn't lift my foot up high enough and I banged it right in the side of the bathtub, lifting it up over to get in the shower. I knew it when I hit it. And what's just so disappointing is that I've spent so much time talking about all the places I want to visit on foot. I don't know what to do.
It's horrible too because I've been hyping up all the Utah hiking.
Yeah,
it's
you have.
There's so much hiking to do. There's hiking behind my school. There's hiking anywhere.
There's Zion.
I think I have to get like something like a splint or something. I'm going to go to Rite Aid and see if I can get something. I don't know. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. It sucks. And the thought of someone stepping on it just.
Well, I mean, what sucks for you is it's the middle toe. So it's not even like the pinky is negligible, right?
Yeah.
Nobody would care if it was a pinky toe. It's like, just use your other 9 toes and quit complaining. You know?
Thankfully, it's not the big toe. Look, I'm grateful that it's not the big toe, but it is a meaningful toe.
It's a meaningful toe.
Very.
Well, then yesterday in the car, I'm on the phone with our rental car company and we're talking about just the charges and all of that and what they're going to bill on my card next. And I hang up with them and I say to Dad, I said, wow, I go, it's $300 extra a week for this insurance. And Dad and I never get rental car insurance. So for this trip, though, we wanted the flexibility and because we're traveling across country, the comfort of knowing that if anything happened to this car, we literally hand them over the key and we're done with it. And that peace of mind costs $300 extra a week, not a month, a week. So I was on the phone with them and I hung up and I said to Dad, God, I don't know, like this insurance is so expensive. And then he didn't really say anything. He was quiet. So I just was, sitting in my seat and then I started dozing off and all of a sudden I got woken up by the loudest pop and it was a rock that hit our windshield and cracked it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like in the center of the windshield.
It's crazy. I mean, we are 3 weeks in, almost 4, and things are getting real. Broken toe, cracked windshield, and a blowout on the freeway. I mean, now we're really experiencing what it's like being on the road.
So anyway, let's get back to you. You are here in Salt Lake City. Mm-hmm. I'm going to take your car out and get it road ready again. But you are off to Zion today.
Yes.
For a friend's get together. I don't even know the details on this. A friend's birthday.
What the hell do you guys do?
What are you going to do in Zion? The mushrooms?
Stop it. No, stop that. She doesn't do that.
Good.
I know.
You are the most responsible one.
Thanks.
So what are you?
No, we're it's a little birthday party. We're going to get our drink on.
But do you get tents? What do you do? I don't understand
she got a house. So she got like an Airbnb in Washington, Utah, which is pretty close to Zion. I'm not sure what like the agenda entails. I don't really know, but I did just want to like be able to make the trip down there because I had originally told her that I probably wouldn't be able to go because you guys would be here, and then my friend and I worked it out to where we can both go down there for her birthday for at least a night. So that's what we're doing tonight.
Great.
And then Saturday, I'm moving to my first apartment.
Yay, baby's first apartment.
I'm a big girl now.
Yay.
Certainly are.
So I'm so excited. I'm so excited to live into an apartment. Dorm life can be fun, but I think after the first 2 months, I was over it. I was like, I want a kitchen. I want somewhere where I can make actual food for myself. I kind of want my own space with someone I actually like get along with, opposed to just like assigned roommates. The dorms are disgusting at most schools anyway.
Did you ever see roaches?
Yours was kind of nice though.
My specific dorm was nice. The dorm that I'd always hang out in was disgusting.
Did you ever see roaches?
No, not roaches.
Oh, good. Okay.
You ended up in the Mormon dorm. Am I right?
Yes, well, not specifically the Mormon dorm. It was the all girls dorm. There were a lot of girls.
It was
in there.
nicknamed the Mormon dorm from the students.
It was, yes. There were a lot of girls in there that weren't Mormon. My suite mates were super cool. My specific roommate, however, you know where this is going, was Mormon. But honestly, I liked having a roommate that I wasn't bestie with.
Why?
I don't know. I feel like it would be a lot because then we'd be roommates and really good friends. And I think when you're starting out in college, like you kind of just need to be able to meet a lot of different people, try and find different friends. So I felt that if I was super bestie with my roommate, then that would also lead to a lot of issues, a lot of arguments, like because we'd be so comfortable with each other
I'm
that
laughing.
we'd just be mean.
And you know where this is headed. I'm like, but you are moving in with Sierra. Okay.
I know,
Yeah, you
but
are moving
that's
with your best friend.
because
I know.
but that's because I also like that now I'm living with someone that I'm super comfortable around, someone who has been to our home, my childhood home before.
There we go.
For specifics.
This childhood home thing is going to be slid in every
I
conversation.
know, for the next however many years.
It's really like, to me, it's really not that big of a deal anymore. Like, whatever, we moved out, I'm over it. But I
You're
just
here
like
now.
to torture them a little bit.
She does. She does.
But your Mormon roommate though, she was sweet. Came
She
from a
was
nice
sweet.
family.
She was very sweet.
But,
now,
you know,
but
there
now
is-
you're moving in with your number one, your numero uno.
Numero uno.
The one
Shout
thing,
out
though,
Sierra.
the one thing that I do want to point out that you shared with me, and I don't know anything about the Mormon community, but I did learn that they pretty much stick together. So, you know, her activities were completely different than yours.
Yeah.
And she had no interest in joining you for yours. And you obviously were never going to be invited to join her for her activities. So really, unfortunately, was like not even having a roommate.
Yeah, but she was very sweet. She would always let me know when she wouldn't be coming back to the room. I would always tell her when I'd be out of town. I'd text her if there were any problems. Like, we communicated very well. We didn't have much to small talk on, but I don't really like small talk anyway. I'm not really a small talk type of gal. I'm just like, hey, how are you? Good. Okay, cool. Let's get on with our day.
Well, I would say out of any of the sisters in our family that she could have ended up with, she was really lucky you were the one.
Yes.
Because
She
the other
was.
two like to get the
Oh.
party on a lot more than you do.
Mhm.
And you are just quiet in
Okay.
your day-to-day.
Let's be totally honest. She would have transferred out if she had Parker as a roommate.
Yeah.
And she would become like probably a night owl if she had Ellie as a roommate.
I feel like if she had Ellie as a roommate, she would have left the church.
She probably would have. Ellie would have been just
Ellie would have
arguing
been the
point
main
after point.
influence, being like,
Yeah.
so you're sure you
Oh,
don't want to
yeah.
go out tonight? She'd be
El-
like, no. She'd be like, well, you're going to come anyway.
Yeah, Ellie would
That's
be.
very true.
Yeah.
And plus, on the day side, Ellie would have been in the Utah library like every single day, coming up with counterpoint of why she should leave the Mormon
Yes.
church.
That's true.
Exactly.
Ellie would have researched it 100% and would
Mhm.
have said to her, well, this is what I think. And she would have had a list and said, and this poor
Yeah.
girl, she would have left the church. You're right.
Mhm.
Mia,
Yeah.
you're right.
But all that to say, I'm super excited to go and live in this apartment
Yay!
with my best friend. We're so excited. We have so many plans. We have not really planned like the decor in our apartment yet, but that's just kind of what makes it fun. Cause like
Agreed.
now, like the weekend or like next weekend, like we can just go to like IKEA together, and we both have our cars now. So it's 10 times better.
Yay.
We're obviously happy to be here with you. Anyone who knows me knows that Salt Lake City is one of my favorite towns. It's definitely on my top 5.
Yeah, I agree. I love it.
And we just got into town last night. So with that being said, I think it's only appropriate that Mia, who's now a native Utahn, is it Utahn?
Yes.
Is it-
Utahn?
oh.
You're a Ute.
Well, I'm
Oh.
a Ute. That's
You
my
should
mascot.
explain what a Ute is, Mia, so everyone knows for the people at home.
A Ute is there's the Ute tribe. So a Ute is an individual of,
Native American tribe.
yes, the Native American Ute tribe that was on this land before we were, long before we were. And I believe there's still some Utes around on our land. So
and the tribe has actually allowed your campus to use their name.
The Utes. So a lot, I'll say Utes first to some people of like my mascots. They're like, isn't that kind of like a cultural appropriation? I'm like, nope, we got permission. So,
that's right.
So don't cancel me for going to Utah and being a Ute because I have permission.
Go Utes. Anyway,
Go Utes.
Okay, well then it's only fair, since you are here, you have been here longer than us, that you give us your top 5 things you like about Utah and top 5 things you could do without. Ready, go.
Okay, I'll start with the likes. So the first one is probably the scenery. Oh my God, like the mountains are beautiful. The sunsets are absolutely unreal. When there's snow on the mountaintops behind my school, it's probably the prettiest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Nice.
So I love the scenery. It's a city mixed with like very naturey, outdoorsy-esque vibes, you know.
Naturey is a word, honey.
I guess. I just said vibes. I didn't want to say that.
Number two.
Number 2 is that it's super easy to get around. What's called the tracks, which is basically like a light rail train, subway type of thing.
But it's not a subway. It's above ground. So it's electrical,
rail.
Right? Electrical train.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So
it's a city train.
Yes. And it goes all the way through downtown, and you can get off and get different on different colors, and some will take you to the airport, some will take you towards more southern Utah, like Sandy. And number 3 is that even though it's a city, it really does feel like kind of like a college town, because the college is such a core part of the city, especially the U. Everywhere you drive in downtown, there's always a Ute flag, like Ute merch everywhere. Our campus store is huge with a ton of merch. And the college town aspect of that brings it together with the city.
Yeah, for sure. It reminds me, this was like the 3rd or 4th place I visited that was kind of like Boise was very like that. When we were in Knoxville, Tennessee, the University of Tennessee is right there. Mm-hmm. Very similar. People went nuts for the orange-white game there. And it's no different being here in Salt Lake City. Yeah. People really rally around the campus, especially now that the team is in the Pac-12 and they won it last year, and they have every indication that they're going to be a successful program. The community was just bubbling over with, campus enthusiasm in the few times I've been here in the past couple years.
Yeah. So that was actually going to be another one of my favorites, which is like the football games. That's more directed towards like my school, like within my school.
Not really though, because the whole town comes out for that. Yeah. I mean, they're the only football team in the state.
There have been attempts at Salt Lake teams in various football leagues, but there's no NFL team here.
Right.
Yeah.
So
they love the Jazz. They fill Vivint Arena to see that. Football is the only game in town is Utah.
Yeah. So the football games are so much fun. And the best part is that we don't have to walk down to the stadium. The tracks can take us down to the stadium. Oh. And it's like a 2-minute tracks ride.
That's awesome.
I know.
Good callback.
So
honey.
All of them kind of connect together. But
and you guys are going to beat BYU this year, right?
We better. We did last year. I'm like, how can you not beat BYU but then go to the Rose Bowl?
They're going to play you in your crib, right? They're coming to you this time.
Yes.
Yeah, because they lost.
Well, I don't think we're playing them this year. We play them every 2 years.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so we'll play them next year.
All right, anyway. Okay. Where are we at? Number 3, 4?
That was 4.
That was 4.
And then my 5th one, like what I like so much, this kind of goes hand in hand with like my school, but it's just the people are so cool here. I took a sociology class last semester, and some of the discussions that we'd have in class were just so interesting. Everyone is so different, but I feel like we're all kind of on the same like path or wavelength. Like everyone's very respectful of everyone most of the time. I feel like the way that people are raised differently is what makes them so interesting, because they could be raised completely differently than how they are as an adult, and they can even be like 10 times cooler as an adult. And you can be like, whoa, like I really like the way your mind works. As for the dislikes,
Here we go.
Well, you did say the dislikes were hard to come up with.
they were kind of hard because I've only been here for a year.
Only.
But a year's a long time to
Yeah,
get a feel
but
for a place. Like,
that's
oh my
true.
gosh, I know right away if I don't like something.
Okay.
Like
I don't. I
dads.
feel like I'm the type of person that like it needs to like
Deadbeat dads.
simmer a little bit. But the first one, hands down, since I want to go into law, I totally despise how church and state here very much are hand in hand.
Explain how that was difficult for you.
Well, so for this is my second point.
Okay, go
I'll
ahead.
loop
Yeah,
it
you
all
can merge them.
together.
Sure. I do it all the time. Trust me.
My second point is that everything is closed on Sundays. Doesn't matter where you go. The only things open still are probably like Taco Bell, McDonald's, Jack in the Box, like things like that. Everything on the face of this city is closed on a Sunday. And even better, most things are closed by 10 p.m. on a Saturday.
Wow.
So
coming from a city like Los Angeles,
Exactly.
that is crazy for you.
yeah, so it was really weird. And going back to church and state, those are state laws. And along with that, like there's a state law that you can only buy like alcohol, for example, at a state liquor store. So if you're going to Ralph's and we have Smith's here. If you're going to Smith's or Trader Joe's and you're, let's say, having like a dinner party and you want to get all your groceries at the same exact time, you're still going to have to make 2 stops regardless.
You are.
Yeah.
So the Trader Joe's here in Salt Lake doesn't sell vodka like it does in Los Angeles.
Correct. So the only thing that is ever sold at like grocery stores or convenience stores are beers and seltzers, which sure, whatever, college kids go crazy for that.
Well, we're not going to linger on that because you're only 19 anyway.
Correct.
I know you don't drink.
She doesn't drink.
Okay.
I know you don't consume
She doesn't have
the
a
vodka.
fake.
No.
The vodka.
She doesn't. The vodka.
But anyway, so like things like that, like a lot of things, like a lot of coffee shops are closed on Sundays. And I'm like, why are you closed on a Sunday?
Is
Like,
Starbucks?
I don't know. I don't think so.
Okay.
I think corporate places aren't.
But mom and pops definitely are closed.
For sure.
Corporate places are sinful. That's why.
Yeah. And so I think with the state of Utah itself being heavily based in housing those of the Mormon religion, a lot of the state laws have become to, what's the word? Like, not abide by the Mormons, but like
they do lean
provide
heavily.
for them.
They
not-
lean very heavily toward their lifestyle.
So
Yeah. It's not a very secular framework
exactly. So
at all times.
and I know that the University of Utah has an amazing law school, and I'd really love to go there, but I know that if I do, because of the way that Mormonism heavily influences this state, if I go to law school in Utah, it'll be harder for me to get acclimated to other states' laws because I'll be so used to Utah's laws, but I don't want to practice law in Utah. I don't.
Where are you going to go?
I don't know.
Okay.
I was always thinking like Chicago or Boston, but
All right. Well, we're getting off on a tangent.
Yeah,
So that's
so-
1 and 2.
yeah, that's 1 and 2.
Give us number 3. Drop the hammer.
Oh God.
You can look at
There's
your phone.
nothing
It's
wrong
okay.
with like if you don't have. Look, if the place is so.
Oh, I got one.
Oh, okay.
You're
Bring
gonna
it.
like
One.
this one.
Bring it, sister.
There is a lot of homelessness.
Ah.
So,
There is? Really?
Yeah.
Even by
you-
LA standards?
Kind of. Like
No, there's no way. There's no tent cities here.
There's some
There
tents
are
on
toward
certain
the airport.
streets. Yeah.
Toward
So,
the airport there are.
So as loving and kind as the Mormons are,
They don't help
take
the homeless.
They do not help the homeless. Isn't that
No. There's
unbelievable?
a strip, probably, I think it was on State Street that we were on yesterday, State or Main. There's a strip that's right by City Creek Mall. You remember?
Yes.
And there's always on that street, at least on one side of it, at least 6 homeless people. But it was so surprising because I was like, because going to a Catholic school, I was like, oh, religion teaches you to care about everyone, right? Like even the homeless. But seeing how many homeless people there are, I'm like, they don't care. So that's like
Well,
one of the
you
things.
can't really put that on Mormons as a whole.
Okay, but look, if the government is based on Mormon values, and this is
Nah.
what she's talking about, they should take more of a look at their
I know,
homeless
but
situation in their own
if
city.
you're expecting Christianity to do
No,
Christian
we're not talking about
things-
Christianity.
I know. Okay, Mormonism, whatever the fill in the blank. If you're expecting in 2022 America for these, established religions to do what the parables in the Bible tell them to, you're fooling yourself.
It's
They
kind
don't
of-
do any of
yeah.
that stuff anymore.
Look, the government here leans heavily on the Mormon church and their traditions, and they should take a look at how they're taking care of the people living on the street. And I get it. And I think it's not right.
So I think that was
walk the walk.
I think that was just one of the things that I was more surprised at. It was one more thing to remind me of like downtown LA, which is exactly why I didn't go to like a UC school or even apply to a UC school. So that's what, 3, 4 is, since I've been here, since we visited the very first time, there's been construction on every single road.
I was just,
There's
as I was setting
construction
up, I was
behind-
just like, I keep hearing trucks.
Yeah,
There's
there's
construction
construction
The
everywhere.
reverse beeps.
There's construction right behind this Airbnb.
Yeah,
Literally.
So, and it's like,
It never
it hasn't stopped once. I'm sure there's still construction on the same exact street that there was when I left school originally.
Sure.
So that's just one of the things that like, it's a beautiful city, but it makes the city look really, really ugly. But yeah, so that's number 4. And then number 5, would probably be, this is more of a personal problem, but dressing for the cold. I hate dressing for the cold.
What did you expect?
Mia.
Southern
No,
California girl.
No. Listen, hear me out. I love winter clothes.
They're super cute.
I live in sweatshirts. I live in sweaters. I live in sweatpants. I can get some cute winter clothes. However, the layering up aspect, I absolutely hate because I get sweaty layering up and I put it all on and it doesn't matter how many layers I will still walk out of my door
You're
and
cold.
be like, oh my God, it's freezing out. Regardless of how cold it is, it won't even be that cold. But I am always cold because, I grew up in LA.
Yeah, I bought you like a mega expensive jacket to
I know.
cover all that.
I think we're going to get her a snowsuit.
Yeah, we get her a snowsuit like a Christmas story.
I'm going to get you a
Alright.
onesie snowsuit,
Oh my
honey.
God.
All right. Well done, honey. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you're here with us.
I'm so happy to
Yes.
be here.
You're
You're not an
Good.
orphan anymore.
No.
Your parents have come back to claim you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
No problem. We're so happy you were able to do it with us today. We know you have a big night planned in Zion, so you got to get out of here soon.
Yep.
But Mom and I are still here for about 5 or 6 more days, so we are going to have more to come from Salt Lake City. Thank you guys for joining us. That's a wrap for this episode. Mia, take us out. Do the honors.
Empty nest, full tank.
Nice
See
job,
you guys
honey.
later.
See you guys next week.
Check the mic and make sure it sound right, boys.